And so, ladies and gentlemen, the Premier League season 2025-2026 has finally come to an end, with Arsenal being crowned the champions of the Premier League, Man City saying goodbye to Pep Guardiola, Liverpool being the club with the most drama, Chelsea finishing on 10th place, Tottenham barely surviving and making it out of relegation, and Manchester United producing the Premier League player of the season despite finishing 3rd place. Ladies and gentlemen, the Premier League 2025-2026 has officially ended. So hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Football with Priscilla. I am Priscilla, obviously. So hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I just want us to talk about the last day of the Premier League season, all the games, the results, the goodbyes. It's been an emotional weekend. But before we get into the video for today, make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and do turn your notifications on, ladies and gentlemen, to know when next I post a video. Okay, so let's get into the video for today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today is, I think, the 23rd of May. And the Premier League has finally come to an end. That's the Premier League 2025-2026. And guys, I was just thinking about this earlier on. Like, all the drama that we've had from last year, August, until this year, May. And I was thinking, did any of us think this is how this season would transpire? There has been a lot of drama. I never thought Mo Salah would be beefing with Ancelotti. I never thought Pep Guardiola would be leaving this season. I never thought Arsenal would be winning the Champions League, or that Man City would choke towards the end of the season, because Man City mostly gained steam. I never thought Manchester United would produce a Premier League player of the season, or the fact that Bruno Fernandes would break the record for the most assists in a season. If you had asked me last year and told me, do you think these things would happen? I would have laughed in your face. But ladies and gentlemen, that and more has happened and has transpired in this season that has officially ended. What a season it has been. I think it has been a relatively interesting season. Apart from Arsenal winning it and could potentially be winning a double. Let's not put that into the atmosphere. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, I did not think that any of these things that I mentioned and more would happen. But you know what? This is why we say football is the most beautiful sport of all. Because you can't write the scripts that are always in football. There's always a twist. There's always a story. And you're just like, what? Like, you're always left in shock. And that is why we love the beautiful game of football. So ladies and gentlemen, I just want us to go through the results of this weekend. Obviously, I'm going to be looking at the results that really matter to us. Others, I'll be running past them, but others, I will talk about them. Okay. So, guys, we have the first game. We have Chelsea versus Sunderland. Like, I don't know. At this point, Chelsea fans, remember how you laughed at us last season? Okay, you all laughed at us. Chelsea, ladies and gentlemen, played Sunderland, and the game ended in a 2-1 victory for Sunderland, right? Even on the last day, Chelsea couldn't give their fans some dignity. They couldn't give their fans some joy. They were like, no, even until the last day, we will make sure you guys suffer. So Chelsea, ladies and gentlemen, lost to Sunderland, and they ended in 10th place, which means, ladies and gentlemen, that Chelsea will be playing one game per week. Okay? Maybe if they make it into the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. But ladies and gentlemen, they have no Champions League. I don't know what that feels like. My team is in the Champions League. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea said we need to bring more fun. Okay? They knew that we didn't have the fun from Arsenal. They were like, okay, Arsenal has disappointed us because Arsenal is the team we laugh at the most. They're like, no, we'll do it. We'll be the laughing stock of the end of the day. So ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea lost to Sunderland 2-1. The next game we have West Ham versus Leeds. Okay, so West Ham, ladies and gentlemen, beat Leeds 3-0. Yes, West Ham beat Leeds 3-0. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that result wasn't enough to keep West Ham afloat, and West Ham have officially been relegated. I am so sad. I don't know why I'm sad, but maybe it's because I've always, going back in the years, I've seen West Ham in the Premier League, and not seeing West Ham in the Premier League is just so weird for me. But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, West Ham have officially been relegated. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we have Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. I don't know why we need to talk about this game. It's very irrelevant. Nobody's even talking about Arsenal. Who cares that they won some trophy? Okay, we don't care. But ladies and gentlemen, yeah, so Arsenal beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Credit to Arsenal. Like, When we thought they would capitulate, they didn't. Even their last game, they actually beat Crystal Palace. Now, I don't know if this would have been the result had Man City actually kept on pushing them until the end of the day. I don't know. Maybe them winning it prior, which is Man City drawing with Bournemouth, okay, officially handed the trophy over to Arsenal, it made it easier for them to play the last game. But I don't know if that wasn't the case. If Man City had beat Bournemouth and they had taken it to the last day, I don't know if Arsenal would have had this result versus Crystal Palace. Bad credit to Arsenal and congratulations to you guys. Okay, next game. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the next game we have Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Ladies and gentlemen, this ended in a 1-1 draw. Okay, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth 1-1. Bournemouth had the energy for Man City but did not have the energy for Nottingham Forest. Like, why, Bournemouth? Why did you strip us of the joy of laughing at Arsenal? I will never forgive Bournemouth, by the way. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the next game we have Burnley versus Wolves, which ended in a 1-1 draw. Okay, Burnley versus Wolves. I think both of these two teams are officially relegated, right? Wolves is gone and Burnley is gone. I should think so. Or maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, it should be both. But I'm sure Burnley is gone. I don't know about Wolves, but I think so. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, we have Liverpool versus Brentford. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Liverpool drew versus Brentford in a 1-1 draw. Okay, so Liverpool drew versus Brentford 1-1. Liverpool officially end the season on 5th place. Yeah, but here's the gag: Liverpool still make it into the Champions League despite finishing 5th place. But Priscilla, how's that possible? Well, that's possible because Aston Villa, ladies and gentlemen, won the Europa League, okay, which automatically meant they're going in the Champions League. And because there's an extra slot, the 5th team, okay, gets to get that slot. So congratulations to Liverpool. You are basically in the Champions League because of Aston Villa. You guys should be kneeling and bowing to Aston Villa. But ladies and gentlemen, with regards to Liverpool, it's been very interesting how Liverpool's trajectory this season has gone with the whole Mo Salah drama. I know for a fact that Mo Salah is leaving. He played his last game for Liverpool, which is so sad to see. For me, I think the way Salah has left Liverpool is never how I envisioned Mo Salah to leave Liverpool. I didn't envision him to leave Liverpool with tweets, beefing with Ancelotti, beefing with the manager at the time. I thought Mo would be given this standing ovation. The club would give him like a shirt. Like there would be this whole thing to appreciate him for what he's done, because there would never be a Liverpool resurgence if it wasn't for Mo Salah. At certain times, he was literally the best player in the Premier League. He was the reason that Liverpool won the Champions League, that Liverpool won the Premier League. At a certain point, he actually carried Liverpool when Mane left. So I expected better for Mo Salah's leaving. I expected this ovation. I expected a celebration just to appreciate what Mo has done. But hey, I guess it's the game of football, and sometimes things don't end the way we expect them to end. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Liverpool say goodbye to Mo Salah. Ancelotti remains with his team, and Mo Salah leaves. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the next game that I want to talk about is Spurs versus Everton, which ended in a 1-0 win for Tottenham. Now, am I happy that Tottenham is still in the Premier League? Yes. Tottenham has been my baby. Like, you know how you have your child? Like, I have Manchester United as my child. Like, I love Manchester United with all my heart. Like, that's my first baby. But Tottenham is like my side baby. Like, it's how you have a baby, which is Manchester United, and you have like a puppy, which is Tottenham. Like, you love them, not equally, but Tottenham gives you some type of joy. I've always enjoyed watching Tottenham for as long as I can remember. During the Lennon time, during the Bell time, during the Son time. Like, I just didn't want Tottenham to go out of the Premier League and to get relegated. It's my side baby. I always love them. I enjoy watching them. I just love them as a club, right? So I'm actually happy that Tottenham has managed to stay up. Okay, and congratulations to Tottenham. They have really tried. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tottenham beat Everton, another team that destroyed our chances of laughing at Arsenal, okay? Why did you have to do that to Man City, Everton? Was it necessary? Absolutely not. But anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, Tottenham beat Everton 1-0 and they have saved themselves from being relegated. So, yay, Tottenham. So the other game, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to talk about is Fulham versus Newcastle, which ended in a 2-0 win for Fulham. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Newcastle, I think we can all agree this season it's been absolutely crazy. Their trajectory, they've been poor. I'm sure their fans have been complaining. I'm sure Eddie Howe is having a horrible time. But yeah, listen, at least they're still in the Premier League. They can always get back up. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, Fulham, Newcastle 2-0. Then we have Man City versus Aston Villa. This ended in a 2-1 loss for Man City. Okay, so Aston Villa beat Man City 2-1. Man City 1 to Aston Villa 2. Aston Villa have been on a roll under Unai Emery. Like, they won the Europa League and they beat the Man City. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And another person who I thought would leave on a high would be Pep Guardiola. Like, there were rumors that this would be his last season. I thought, okay, Man City, give the man the trophy. Like, give the man the trophy and say goodbye. But they had to lose on his day of saying goodbye. And I am actually very sad. Like, I am a huge Pep Guardiola fan. Right? Yes, I'm a Manchester United fan. Yes, there's always this, oh, is he the best manager? Or is he better than Sir Alex Ferguson? I don't know. But for me, I prefer Pep Guardiola's style to Sir Alex Ferguson's style. Make of that what you may. But I've always loved Pep Guardiola as a coach. Ever since he broke forth with Barcelona, created that crazy Barcelona side and came to Man City and did absolutely madness with the league, the styles of play he brought, the tactics he brought, and it was always fun and amazing for me seeing how coaches had to really think in order to play Man City. Like, watching Man City for me was absolutely beautiful. The one-touch football, the ball position-based football, the tic-tac football. I'm absolutely going to miss Pep Guardiola, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm very sad. Like, can't he just find his way back to the Premier League? Hopefully to coach Manchester United. Would that be too much to ask for? Pep? No? I'm just saying. Anyway, if ever it comes to your attention that you want to try again, please come to Manchester United. So, ladies and gentlemen, Man City lost 2-1 to Aston Villa, and officially Pep Guardiola is no longer a Premier League coach. I need a minute. I'm kidding. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, last but least, I want us to talk about the Manchester United versus Brighton game, which ended with Manchester United beating Brighton 3-0. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, on the last day, Manchester United were like, while everyone is fighting for something, crying about something, winning something, Manchester was just chilling. Like, we're just out there playing good football. We got a first goal by Dorgu with an assist by Bruno Fernandes, which means that Bruno Fernandes has officially broken the record for the most assists in a season, and he sits in a league of his own. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, Bruno Fernandes is a record holder and he's made history. Then we had a beautiful, wonderful style of play for the second Mbeumo goal. What from Ahmad to Mount, Mount back to Ahmad, Ahmad to Mbeumo, Mbeumo in the goal. What a beautiful goal is. Then we had that third goal by Bruno Fernandes, who just had to cement our season, ladies and gentlemen, by scoring the last goal. And he is officially the Premier League Player of the Year for the season 2025-2026. Yes, Declan Rice who? I'm sorry, what? People have been crying, what do you mean? This guy's team hasn't even played well. What do you mean? Manchester United ended third. They didn't even win a trophy. How could a person who's come from a team that has finished third, hasn't won trophies, win Premier League Player of the Year? Because we are Manchester United. That is the amount of power that we have. We don't need to win a single trophy. We only need to play. Okay? Whether it's one game per week, per 2 weeks, we don't need to win the Premier League trophy for our players to be given accolades. Ladies and gentlemen, I think when people forget how big and how powerful Manchester United is. Yes, we did not win anything. Yes, we finished on third place, okay? But our player is the Premier League Player of the season. So I don't understand why people are so mad. I don't get it. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, yes, this smile is proudly sponsored to you by Bruno Fernandes and, of course, Manchester United. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we can officially wrap up the Premier League 2025-2026 season. What a season of football we have had. And the next 2 months, we have absolutely nothing. No, I'm kidding. We have the World Cup, but it's not the same as the Premier League. But anyway, at least we have the World Cup to look forward to, right? And then we have transfers to look forward to. So, ladies and gentlemen, just because the season has closed doesn't mean this show has stopped. The show will continue, and we'll be getting back to my football transfer diaries, where we look at all the transfer news, who will be going where, who will be leaving which club. I hope Mason Mount, Joshua Zirkzee, and Tyrell Malacia are on that list of leaving. So yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, okay? Okay, so that's all I had for you guys today. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Make sure you share, like, and subscribe, and do turn your notifications on, ladies and gentlemen, to know when next I post a video.